We're drinking buddies and we like to drink.
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 Sound off.
Sound off.
Let's drink.
Let's drink.
Sound off. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's drink. Responsibly, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fun-filled, fact-packed episode of Army Drinking Buddies. My name is Brian Robinson. As always,
Torrey Murphy.
Torrey Murphy is here, and we're here. This is a special episode. We're not really focusing on cocktails today. We're focusing on part of the cocktail that really makes a cocktail pop. It really makes the cocktail, it really shows the people you're serving cocktails to that you know what you're doing. And that's about clear ice. Now, if you look on the internet, you will see dozens and dozens and dozens
Of lies.
of episodes about how to make clear ice. And we're here at Army Drinking Buddies to cut through all the crap and to show you exactly how you can make super clear, crystal clear ice for your cocktails simply, easily, and cheaply. And then on another episode, we'll show you the most expensive way you can possibly make ice. But either way, you're going to come out with the other end of this with really great ice. And so the expert in this is my good friend, Torrey Murphy. Torrey, how do you make crystal clear ice?
Well, it's not hard. You freeze from one direction. And not
Okay, so what does that mean? What do you mean by one direction? We're not talking about the band. We're talking about, what do you mean?
So we're going to assume everyone has a freezer at home.
Okay.
So maybe not like one of the little refrigerators like college dorm
No,
freezers.
we need a full-on
So we're
freezer.
thinking a freezer that can
Yeah.
store a device
Something like this. Yeah,
And so we pull the lid off.
right. This is an igloo cooler. If you look at it, it's just a simple igloo cooler. But what you're saying is when we freeze it, it freezes from the top down.
Exactly.
And everything else is insulated but the top.
So probably $15 at your local store,
Okay.
Home Depot, True Value, whatever. And so you buy it. And so you fill it full of water. And you don't need to boil the water. You don't need
Right.
to go buy distilled water. You don't need to do unicorn tears.
Now, obviously, if you live in Flint, Michigan, I would not recommend the water for this ice. But if you have generally clear, pure water, that's where we're going.
Exactly. So we get our water from our refrigerator, so we don't buy bottled water or whatever.
Right.
So it's just a refrigerator
Just
water.
tap water.
Tap water, maybe a little bit nicer because it is filtered.
Yeah.
And you don't have to boil it. But you fill this probably 3 inches, 4 inches.
Okay.
So the amount of inches probably doesn't matter. I wouldn't suggest filling it to
No.
the absolute rim.
Take too long to freeze anyway.
Take too long to freeze. So let's assume we're going to do 3 inches.
Okay.
And so you don't have to get a ruler and stick it in there, but just kind of guesstimate it.
Yeah.
So maybe like your
A
finger
finger.
depth.
Yeah.
Because when you get a fancy cocktail at a fancy cocktail place, they're doing a 2-inch by 2-inch ice cube.
Right.
And so 3 inches would be,
Just too big. It's not going to fit in the Crocs glass.
but it'll be okay. So
Yeah.
we'll get to that. So you put
Yeah.
3 inches of water in here. And so it freezes from one direction.
Okay.
So you put it in your freezer. You put this whole thing in your freezer.
Yep.
And so I'm fortunate enough to have a
Nice big freezer.
nice big freezer. And I can stick this whole thing in there.
Yeah.
And so I put it in there, and so it freezes from one direction. So what the one direction means is it freezes from the top down, because on the sides it's insulated.
Right.
On the bottom it's insulated.
Yeah.
And so it freezes from the top down,
Okay.
or one direction.
Right. That makes sense.
And so
that's all you need to make sure that it doesn't get milky or cloudy in any way. It's just a one direction freeze.
exactly. And so if you live in a cold climate,
Yeah.
so not California, not Arizona, not Texas,
Right.
but it does get cold in Texas.
It can.
But if you were to live in Michigan,
Yep.
Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, it is flipping cold.
Right.
And so if you were ever to go out onto a lake or a
Right.
river,
Yeah.
or what's the other? Is there another thing? Swamp? Maybe?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But it is cold, and it has frozen from one direction. And so, because the water is just sitting on top of the lake,
Yeah.
and it freezes on the top, and then the
Freezes down.
freezingness
Right.
goes down. So thankfully, and you can look this up later, thankfully, water does not freeze from the bottom up because
Right.
we would all be dead on this planet. So it freezes from the top down.
Nice.
And so that's what we're trying to replicate in our freezer,
Yeah.
in our nice
Yeah.
air-conditioned and heated,
Right.
climate-controlled
So all
home.
it takes is a home freezer and a nice cooler that allows for freezing from the top down, and then we're good.
Then we're good.
Okay.
And so we'll put about 3 inches of water, and then in 24 hours, we'll take it out of the freezer. So
Okay.
we won't do it on this episode, but
We'll come back when we've done it.
we'll do the magic of film editing. And then we'll take this exact same cooler, and we will have frozen
Right.
it in the freezer for
Right.
24 hours.
And we'll show
pull
you
it
what's
out.
the next step.
We'll show you what the next step is.
Beauty.
So, thank you.
All right. See you next time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fun-filled, fact-packed episode of your favorite show and mine, Army Drinking Buddies. My name is Brian Roberts, and as always, my good friend.
Torrey Murphy.
And if you remember our last episode, we talked about the cheap way of making perfectly clear ice, which if you're into cocktails, which we are, and especially Torrey, my good friend Torrey here, clear ice is the only way to make a cold drink. And so we've talked about the cheap way of doing it, but now it's time to talk about really the easiest way of making clear ice. And so Torrey has found a way of making both perfectly cubed ice that's clear and perfectly round ice that's clear. And so Torrey, what do we got?
So first of all, it's not cheap ice. It's inexpensive ice.
All right.
So it's
Semantics.
it's an important clarification.
That's true.
And so if you bought a cheap car versus an inexpensive car, an inexpensive car is a good value.
That is true. You're absolutely right. I don't want to get you the wrong impression.
So we're talking,
Making cocktails well, regardless of price, is important. And in this case, we're making very
clear ice.
clear ice, incredibly clear ice,
Perhaps not inexpensively.
not inexpensively.
And certainly not cheaply.
No.
Unless you make enough.
Yeah, right, exactly. But in this case, if perfection is your goal, this is the easiest way of getting it done. So what do we got?
So we have a Winter Smith's cooler. And so it freezes ice in one direction.
Okay.
Which is the principle.
Yeah,
if
like we
you-
talked about last time, freezing ice in one direction makes sure that it is clear, no clouds, perfectly pure. One
And-
direction of freezing.
And so how it does it is it has this insulated cooler part, which is, I don't know what this is.
And the important part
What
is basically styrofoam, but the important part of this is that the only direction that it can freeze from is the top. So that the one direction freezing is the important part. So we have that set
And
aside.
so we fill this plastic bucket
Vessel, yeah.
full of just tap water. We
Yep.
use our refrigerator tap water.
Right.
You don't need distilled water. You
We're
don't
in
need-
Portland, Oregon, where the water is amazing.
and so you don't need boiled water and
Right.
you don't need crazy stuff. But
Right.
just it's nice water.
Correct.
It's
If your
not-
water is horrible, filled with other things, maybe you might want to boil it. But in this particular case, tap water should work.
Exactly. And so we fill it full of this, and then it's got a little line on the inside
Nice.
that tells you how full to fill it.
Okay.
And then you fill it, and then once you get it to the right level, you put the whole thing in the freezer.
Nice.
And then you wait 24 hours. And if you're smart, you tell your phone, tell me in 24 hours to go take the freezer, or take the
Ice out of the freezer.
ice out of the freezer.
Yeah.
And so if you let this freeze for 36 hours, 48 hours, 72, it won't get any colder, but it will freeze completely solid.
Nice.
And in my freezer, your freezer may vary,
Right, may vary.
it will be just fine. And so,
So crack it open. I want to see it. This is the square ice. Now, they obviously make another one for round ice if you're a round ice fan. But in this particular case, we're making square ice cubes.
exactly. And so I'm going to have my friend Brian.
All right. This is
Open
my...
this
I've
up.
never
He
done
has
this.
never touched
I've
it.
never done this before.
So you open this
crack
up.
it this way.
Yeah, and
Oh.
this is made out of silicone.
That's pretty amazing.
So food grade, we hope.
Yeah.
According to Kickstarter, it is.
Wow, look at that.
And so it comes out, and we just have just a regular aluminum pan, and we're putting it on here.
That's pretty incredible. Look at these guys.
And so when it comes out, it has little knobbies from where you fill the water at the top and the bottom. And then it also has kind of this, what would you call it?
Wow, that's gorgeous.
Crevice?
A little seam, yeah.
There we go, seam. That occurs when you have the two forms pushed together.
And if you look at the forms, they're not good right angles in the way they make the cubes. They make the cubes at a strange angle. I'm not exactly sure the science behind it, but it does make perfect cubes. 2x2 cubes. These are magical. These are so good, and they're so clear. We've had like 6 cocktails today with these in them, and they're magic. And so what is the cost of this particular setup?
So it's $160.
Okay.
So it's not inexpensive as of this time or when I bought it. And so for $160, you got the little styrofoam.
Right. But you can also create these spheres.
Spheres.
So if you're a sphere guy,
$20 option.
Right.
So I purchased the 2-inch cubes.
Right.
For $160, and then for an additional $20, I could have gotten spheres.
The spheres.
And I did. So I paid $180. So
nice.
Probably, don't judge me.
Hey, you know what? Cocktail perfection is important. And here on Drinking Buddies, we spare no expense to make sure that the cocktails are precise. So tomorrow we need to make some circles because frankly I don't have any spheres.
All right. So it comes out of here, and it's got this crazy looking seam or whatever, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that is just the ugliest thing. I thought the same thing, and it's really easy to get rid of. All you do is you just grind it off, and so I have a simple aluminum cooking pan, and you just...
Oh, nice. You just kind of...
move it across, and then it just kind of melts it across because the aluminum...
Right, melts just a little bit of it.
Conducts the heat away.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Like crazy. Now, will you be able to melt the little nubs off? Because there's
probably not, but you know.
At the tippy and the bottom?
Right. 10 minutes in your cocktail glass. No
exactly. And when you do throw it in your
cocktail... look at that.
And when you do throw it in your cocktail glass, you just make sure that the nubs are on the side.
Dude, it's like a jewel.
It's like a
It's
diamond.
ridiculous. I'm not even kidding you. That's so cool.
And so it is freezing cold.
It is cold.
So you want to do this kind of quickly, or have a buddy help you melt the seams off.
Right.
And so you just need a simple aluminum pan.
Agreed.
And then you could buy this crazy adapter from Wintersmiths, and I think it was like $20 for like this little tube.
Yeah.
I use a 1-gallon Ziploc bag.
Yeah, Roger.
And I just throw them in there. So I put these cubes all kind of shined up into my 1-gallon Ziploc bag.
Back in the freezer.
Back in the freezer.
Yeah.
And then they're ready to go. And so when I have guests over,
they're ready to go, man.
I just pull them out, and they're like blown away.
It is, yeah. I gotta say, these, I mean, if you are a fan of perfect cocktails, you know, and cocktail perfection is your thing, this really is, you know, no expense spared. This is pretty brilliant.
It is definitely brilliant, and so don't believe the internet hype where it says that this will melt slower.
Yeah.
Physics is the law, and it just doesn't.
Right.
So yes, it does have a smaller surface area than a whole bunch of little cubes.
Correct.
But in your cocktail drink, it will melt exactly the same. And so it's not like these are magical unicorn tears.
No, but
blocks.
they're brilliant though. I mean, there is something about
they look very sexy.
The cachet of having this in your glass versus a bunch of cracked ice. So if you're interested in the perfect cocktail, the perfect cube, this is your Wintersmith?
Wintersmiths.
Wintersmiths.com
maybe?
Yeah, wintersmiths.com. Check them out. An amazing solution to your cocktail problem.
And then you have a whole bunch of frozen ice because this has been in my freezer for 36, 48 hours.
Right.
So this is the rest of the reservoir, and it's completely frozen solid.
Nice.
So it doesn't taste fantastic because it's not encased in this
silicone
food
awesomeness.
safe silicone
Food grade.
or whatever. So
Right.
whatever plastic this is, I don't know, but
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't taste great. But you don't have to throw this down the the sink or whatever. You can melt this ice out and then use it into, if you were to have like a party or whatever, and you have a cooler full of cold drinks.
Right.
You can use this ice. And so
The
this
second
is
grade ice. So you have the first
food safe,
food grade perfect ice, and the second grade ice for Cokes and other.
just to freeze
To try
something
this.
else. So yeah,
Indeed.
so you're not drinking this ice.
Fantastic. So there it is. Perfect, clear ice, easy or cheap. Your choice right here on Army Drinking Buddies. So we'll see you next time on the next episode of your favorite show and mine,
Army Drinking Buddies.
We'll see you next time.